Got it?
Yep.
All right. Call meeting order, roll call.
Okay, Mayor Webster.
Yes.
Mueller.
Yes.
Stankin.
Yes.
Tom.
Yes.
Bolton. Yep. Reese.
Yes.
Okay, no public forum, consent agenda. Any additions, corrections? Motion to approve.
So moved.
Second?
Oh, second.
You got one?
Did you?
Well, I got Dave and
You and somebody else.
Muller.
and
I
Mueller.
think we said at the same time, so.
Roll call.
Okay.
Roll
All
call.
right, Waltman.
Yes.
Mueller.
Yes.
Stankin.
Yes.
Tom.
Yes.
Reese.
Yes.
Okay, we'll have a little update on Nate's parking.
Yeah, just so we had that discussion about whether we would look to move that electric transformer and then Corn Belt could potentially move that communication pedestal a little bit. And so we met down there with Nate and then with the natural gas to come up with an arrangement on this. And the arrangement that everybody was in favor of was that the electric transformer and the communication bed would not move. The steps down the building would come down the north side of that fitness center building to a point, say it comes down 2/3 or 3/4 of the way to a landing, jogs over to the middle of the lot, and then finishes in the middle of the lot. And to address then these parking spaces then that are potentially gone because of the jogging the steps, the city would fix and take out that curb intake, turn that into a drive-over intake, and create at least 2 off-street parallel parking spots there. Nate seemed to be real content with everything, and it's a very workable option as far as utilities go. That would be a recommendation that we would do that.
I agree with that, I don't have a problem with that, but how do we reserve the spots for your tenants, I guess? Do we have signage that we market, or is it just, if it's open, it's open, if it's not, it's not?
I
That's
think
not,
it's gonna need, if you want it for your tenants, it's gonna need signage.
that's what,
Right.
that's what, I
But
mean,
we've never been able to do that.
I don't know.
Even a handicap place in front of the donut shop, they would not put one in.
But this is off-street.
It's just on the back side of it.
Yeah, but not everybody can park behind your place.
Yeah, they
It's-
do.
Well, it's off-street, it's not street parking.
I can't think we can do that. I mean, what if they come to this fitness center? Then he's gonna get in trouble because don't let them park there.
I thought it was gonna be off-street. I
They
didn't think
are
it-
at least partially on private land. You know, they probably are part on the street, but yeah, they're at least partially private.
And the fitness center already, you know, is off-street.
How do you figure?
Well, that's why we gotta fix that intake so it can be. You know, there's a big curb intake there, so.
There's no off-street parking.
For the fitness center?
Where is that?
Not right now, there isn't.
Well, I thought they,
But they park across the
Right at the
street.
curb line. You
Oh.
just, yeah.
I've always saw everybody park on the street.
That's
That's
on-street.
it, that's it.
Or on street.
Just on street,
Oh.
yeah.
On-street.
Oh, I was just off there for a minute. Sometimes you're on, sometimes you're off. That's why I was so confused. Kinda like Emily talking
Yeah, that we.
to Connie, and she wasn't here. Okay.
We need a motion to approve that.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
Roll call.
Mueller,
Yes.
Stankin,
Yes?
Tom,
Yes.
Bolton,
Yes.
Reese.
Yes.
Hold us to it so we get that intake done this spring.
That's a spring project?
It's too late now.
Sure. That's
Well,
what
I say it's too late now. I would look for us to coordinate that into our street project,
Right.
which would occur sometime next year. You know,
And I'm assuming,
I don't wanna hold our feet to say we'd get it done in the spring, cause it'll be part of the project.
so if the natural gas company, when they tear into the street there and right in that general vicinity, I mean, will they patch that back then
They have
normally?
to patch.
And then you just fix it from there? Okay. And I haven't heard anything follow up from Black Hills at all since we had our meeting on that, so.
They did call right away the next day, looking for your address and everything to get the work order going.
Okay, so you did hear from
I
him,
did,
okay.
yeah.
I talked to Scott Kinzer later that day.
Okay, good.
We'll do all we can, Nate.
All right, no, I appreciate it.
Okay, we got a pay estimate for Grumman Hicks.
Yep, this would be a regular pay estimate. It's, pay estimate number 16. You see we're getting down there to where we're at. Gonna have paid 94% of the project.
You have a motion to make that pay estimate?
I'll
Second?
second it.
Roll call.
Bolton,
Yes.
Reese,
Yes.
Moller,
Yes.
thank you.
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Okay, we got some easement issues at the lagoon.
Yeah, I'm gonna ask you to approve the amendment to one easement tonight. There are still 3 other property owners that we work with on this too, and one of them being Larry Hauser and his property they're still working at. We haven't even shot the new definition of the disturbed lands yet. But Wilson and Watts, we've got the information out to them, and it is pending. This one with Doug Heineken and Eric and Nora Schultz is a little different because this, previously the easement had been with Larry. So now it's with the new property owner. What this does though is changes that construction easement area so that it includes all of the disturbed areas. Let's just take a look at what that is. It's page 12 and 13. See what the original easement was, and then there's areas outside that easement that were disturbed also, and we would add that to the construction easement. Well, the purpose of that then ends up being that we're adding more acres than for payment of future crop loss. They can still determine crop loss out of, in this case, the orange area, and that's additional crop loss for them. So it expands the area to include everything that's orange and changes the years to be 19, 20, 20, and 21. Pushes everything out that 1 year. With this one, with Doug Heineken, it is approved and they have signed everything. This is also the one where we had agreed to pay for the amount of crop damage in the easement area this year. It's $5,285.25. And I would recommend that up for payment.
Do we have that motion?
So moved.
Second?
I'll second it.
Roll call.
Moller,
Yes.
thank you.
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Bolton? Reese?
Yes.
Okay, we're gonna talk about startup on Thursday mostly.
Yeah, we're going to talk through a few things tonight, but the biggest thing is we have this construction meeting on Thursday morning, 10 o'clock. Are folks able to come to the lagoon at 10 o'clock? I know it doesn't work very well for Tammy, that's right in the middle of the day, but
9 would work better.
it didn't work for the contractor, I think, but, no, so we were set for 10.
Okay, well, I've got bus at 10:25,
Okay,
so. Whatever, it doesn't.
so if you can be there for a few minutes, that'd be great, but.
Well, I might show up, but then I'd have to leave, so.
Because there are a few things that I really want the council to see, progress on the project would be the main thing. You just get a good update about where they are and when they think that they would actually be finishing that. Because it had at one point said the end of November, that's not happening. They're more towards at least the middle of December now as far as trying to get things finalized. So we'll want to do that construction update, talk about a couple of specific project issues with them in regards to these easements and their crop damage payments for this year. And then we'll get into discussing the issue of startup.
So,
Is that-
so my question about that, startup is there any make sense to have our engineer there while we're there? Or is
It will be.
He will,
He will,
okay.
yeah. Yeah, he's there.
Good.
So is the roof, like on the new control building, that control building where, that ain't a pointed roof? Or
No,
peak?
flat roof.
That's flat.
It is flat.
Yeah.
We hauled the roof in from Sioux Falls, South Dakota.
Hmm.
Picked them off the crane, it's all sort of.
Okay, I just was wondering why you never see a roof.
Yeah. So where were they at on construction out there, Bill? Can you, just a little bit?
The electrician was in there working last time I was out there.
Yeah.
That must mean we have the windows in. He talked like he wouldn't put them in unless the windows were in.
Well, he can't, I don't
Well,
think.
they had plywood over when I was
Oh,
out there.
okay.
Cause he said he'll ruin the controls, that's what he told me, if you do it.
Yeah.
Without being closed up and heat in there, is there heat in there already?
No,
No. So that's gonna have to come soon, huh?
these are all of those things about, yeah, actually finishing up the project. A lot of it is related to all of to the building and controls, yeah.
Mhm.
The other big thing is, at least as of a couple days ago, they're not bored the creek, so.
Oh, I was wondering about that, how come there?
It's not done. The transformer's ready to go, but it's not on.
Okay.
So
I was
Bill,
wondering why they didn't finish that.
I got a question for you, Bill, just out of curiosity. We're running late now with the whole completion date, it's putting us into that cold weather, which, the first thing we started up right away, that's why we went with the contract as soon as we could, figured we'd get done by this. My question to you is, what's our plan out there, the old plant? Can that last till spring, or what's your,
All of our tests are passing.
they're all passing,
Yep.
okay?
That printout thing said that DNR guy did see an issue with it, right?
Nope.
I read that.
So, the DNR has not taken a formal opinion about whether we should start up or not.
Right, but it
But yet
sounded
they
like.
kinda have. They would
Yeah,
just assume that we
exactly.
would run the existing plant through the winter as much as
And
possible.
wait till spring.
But with a note in there also saying, you know, if we run that thing and then we end up with some major expense out there,
Mhm.
you wouldn't fix it. You'd turn the valve on and start filling the new.
Mhm.
So,
Just so we have a plan, that's, you know,
But they don't have that hooked up though, Scott.
oh, no, it's, you know, of course, it's not ready to go right now.
well,
And that's the, again, we're relying on them about this idea of, can they truly be done by the middle of December?
just cost them money, so.
So that letter was on, 14 and 15, and really, the thing that stood out to me is actually the top paragraph on 15, that you can't start adding air to the lagoons until they're basically full, just a few feet from being full. And if you don't add air to them, they're gonna freeze. So, then you're freezing the,
Bugs.
well, not just the bugs, but actually the aerators and stuff, they'll freeze and then they'll break,
Right.
so.
I don't see any reason why we would not wait. Is there any reason we would not wait?
I agree with you.
Yeah,
I
I think
agree
so
with you.
too.
I think it'd be better to start in the spring.
I'll agree with that. And it's just, he also brought up having a separate contract or something.
Yep, yeah, so I wanna talk about that a little later. Yeah, on page 16 is that second letter from them then, where they talk about these 3 separate but related items. And then they talk about their completion date. A couple months ago, they had said, middle, late November. Now, they're looking at the week of December 16th. It's 3 to 4 weeks later than what they told us. Okay? First issue deals with startup, like we were talking, in that we had not made a decision, but it certainly looks like we're going to be holding off on startup. It just seems to be prudent. Second thing deals with liquidated damage, and the engineer's response to this on liquidated damage so far has been, it might be necessary for the city to get together with the contractor to hash that out. There's liquidated damages in the contract. It's $500 a day.
Sounds like a
My,
plan.
my feeling on that is that you can't, work against Mother Nature,
No.
Well, it took us a long time to figure out what plan we were going with.
Right.
But he sat here that day and said he was comfortable, right, Whitey?
He signed the contract. And them guys got liquidation money built into their bid, so. It's not like that's my opinion on it, but. I wonder where we'd be at if we didn't have this lead still hanging over their head. But they could, right now it's December, That's not a guarantee yet either, is it?
It's not a guarantee.
Well, the colder it gets, worse it's gonna, slower it's gonna get, you bet on that.
So you're saying that you think that, because I'm a little bit confused about some of this, really not in my area of expertise, to believe that or not. He's not willing to offer this type of extension of the maintenance bond, is that what we're talking about, kind of?
That, you know, our initial ask of them was that for this time extension, they would extend their maintenance bond for a year. Okay? And, you know, I guess they did do their checking on that, and they would decline that. They had said it's gonna be cheaper for them to pay, liquidated damages.
So it's the bond or liquidated damages, is that kind of?
Well, as of right now, the one thing that is kind of still open is the probably liquidated damages, because the extension of the bond, the year-long extension of the bond
Is not gonna
they
happen.
weren't interested.
Because they declined it.
That's not even on the table.
How big is their bond that they've got to carry for this project?
Total project price, so, you know, the bond is, their
$5
bond is $6 million. The maintenance bond that they gotta carry on it is based on time, and that's 2 years.
Yeah, okay, but how much, what percentage are they paying towards that bond?
Well, that's actually gonna be part of this next deal that they're gonna ask for, is this supplemental contract, because that allows them to, they always gotta honor their maintenance bond, but their construction bond, they'd be able to let their construction bond go, they wouldn't be under contract for that amount with the city.
Well, then they take it off the books, is what they can do.
Yeah.
And but what I'm saying is, what percentage, is it 1%? What's the bond company actual cost? So let's, I'm gonna say $5 million.
Is that Jew problem, child?
Yes. Is it, Whitey's, if you're making a noise?
Yeah.
I'm making a lot of noise. So there's $5 million. So if they got $5 million, so 1% of that is what?
50,000. Their total amount they're paying for bond and insurance, at least through their bids, $148,000.
They're paying $148,000?
Yeah. For bonds and insurance?
Well, that's insurance.
Yeah.
Because usually the bonds on 3 to 5%
Yep.
is what I typically, but I don't know nothing about insurance, so that's $150,000, they must have some price.
Just remember, they bid it that way, and of course you pay bonds and insurance up front. So
Because it's built into the contract, you know, that $500.
Well, he's willing to offer a 6-month extension of the maintenance bond.
Right, so let's get into this third thing that he was talking about, and that is this concept of a supplemental contract. What he would ask us to do is to basically finish out this existing contract. So we got the $6 million contract with them, and we would agree that we would finish out that contract, we'd terminate it shortly, and we would get into a supplemental contract, a secondary contract with them for 2 times the value of the work that's remaining yet to be done. Okay, so we would hold that much money back for them, which, I would tell you, the remaining balance right now is about $409,000. In exchange, though, they get most of their retainage, and we get $279,000 of retainage. So the contract itself, you know, would be somewhere between $200,000 and $300,000, I would guess. So, the benefit to the contractor is the deal about the bond. They take the bond off the books. So when they're coming into bidding season now, they need their bond capacity back so
Exactly,
that they can bid new projects.
Well, is there a reason we would not do this? I guess what are
Well,
the
you'll
pros
get
and cons here?
We get a recommendation from our engineer that it would be fine.
And that's what they've said, right?
So,
Yep.
what,
And there is a little give and take out of that because we do get that 6 months extra on the maintenance bond.
so what is it, so with the maintenance bond, so if something goes wrong within the first 2 years, when does that start?
Now, that's gonna start, that 2 years would start, it starts upon, basically upon substantial completion. So it doesn't start when they've got all the seating and everything done, it starts when the facility goes into use.
So when we start up the facility, whether it be in February, I'm just throwing out.
Right, yeah,
So that's when that would start?
under normal conditions. If we did the supplemental thing, the 2 years would start with the new contract. Say it starts 1st of January, okay? But you got 2 years and 6 months instead of just the 2 years. So you still come out a few months ahead of time, ahead of the game on it.
Why would we do it in January if nothing's gonna happen till we start it up, then they ought to give us 6 months after that.
He's looking at March,
Yeah,
unless the weather's really good, but if that,
Now we're still, still getting something extra.
yeah, you know, you do.
We
it
always-
says
I-
here, there is no disadvantages to the supplemental contract, especially if the maintenance bond is extended for a period of time greater than the anticipated duration of the supplemental contract,
Mhm.
right?
So what kind of money are we talking now with just damages? Just tell them,
So if it's $500 a day from the 15th of October, so we're at a month right now, okay, is 15,000.
so December.
This seems like a pretty reasonable,
I don't know, I'm just looking at all the,
yeah.
I mean, if we gave it up way back a couple months ago, we wouldn't have got nothing for it.
Right.
Good job, Whitey.
I don't have a problem with that, I'd like to have our lawyer look at that, make sure that's
Sure.
that the language is right, so we're not missing anything that's,
Good idea.
They might
Because,
wanna
yeah,
pay
we-
our attorney fees for that too.
yeah.
Because Veenstra and Kim, yeah, I would like to have another,
Because we've not seen any agreement or anything like this. This is just the discussion stage right now.
Well, once they come up with something, let's review it.
Looks good on this paper.
Yeah.
Let's see what it looks like on the other paper.
Yeah,
So-
one that counts.
so in other words, what we're telling them is that, these 3 requests, that we're willing to do that, and then they prepare the paperwork?
We got answers probably to 2 out of 3 of them. Is about startup date, we'd look towards spring for startup date. On the supplemental contract, I just wrote down that we're willing to look at the supplemental contract, get us the contract, we'll take a look with the 6-month extension. And then that leaves the 3rd thing open yet, liquidated damages.
Liquidated damages.
And whether that would just be an assessment, and you know when you're assessing that liquidated damages, it's not that they're paying, we're just withholding from their retainage. And so we have the dollars in hand,
So we're satisfied with that.
yeah, but there would be an expectation on their part that the city would be open to negotiation on it.
What do they want to negotiate on?
I have not talked to them.
Oh, okay.
All right, very good, but yeah, especially if folks are available on Thursday morning, it would be great.
Okay, we got library board, we gotta put back on. We must have forgot.
Yeah, because this had actually expired at the end of June.
The 3 ladies would like to be reappointed. Is there a motion to do that?
So moved.
Second,
Second,
roll call.
Boltman,
Yes.
Moeller,
yes.
Stanky.
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Reese.
Yes.
And these ladies are doing a good job on the library board.
Yes, they are.
Asking, yeah, they have a big undertaking here now
Yes.
about this construction project.
They're on top of it.
Okay, how about our infrastructure installation at the landing?
Yeah, I'm gonna have a 2-part discussion. The first issue would be the water system, that according to our agreement with Bobby and then also our subdivision code, the city installs water service at the city's expense. Okay? So, the question is whether we would, and we do have plans and everything prepared for this, Nillis and Associate has prepared those plans. So, Mr. Terrell has bid this as part of his project. Okay, and you see these costs for the water system. So the city has not bid this, but Mr. Terrell has. Okay, so I see just a couple options there. Either the city would step back and bid this as a separate standalone project as a city project, or you just work with Mr. Terrell on it, and you basically honor his bidding that he had done, and we would just agree to reimburse him the dollars. And that the contract with the contractor is actually between Terrell and the contractor. Now, so King Construction is the contractor who is hired to do the sanitary sewer work, and that sanitary sewer work is 100% paid for by the developer. But then King Construction also would be interested in doing the water work. So, you know, the concept there is he ought to be able to do that less expensive because he's there doing work already. Okay. Now you've seen the cost there. It's a little bit below engineer's estimate. You know, I don't really want to give the cost out. You know, if we bid this, it's not right to King to have his number out there. So really, that's where we're at. You know, I think we can bid this, or we could honor that price with King, and we would agree to reimburse Mr. Terrell on that.
Well, it seems to me like scheduling wise, especially since it's under, why would we not have them do it while they're there and coordinate? Otherwise, the project might get held up while you're waiting for another contractor to get there, and I just think it's easier if you have one contractor out there, unless there's a reason someone thinks that we shouldn't do that.
So they're gonna start soon on that?
Now, here's the other really good news of the day is that we got the construction permit for the sanitary sewer. So that is all in line and ready to go, and if they had a contract who wanted to start tomorrow, they could do it.
There's gonna be a certain cost to it so much anyway, so we got the, you know, if there's an issue though, something that, how am I trying to say this? If something would go wrong, since it's through Bobby Terrell, would they come back on Terrell, or would they come back on us since it's?
Okay, so the contract is between Bobby and the contractor.
Okay.
Okay. Now, Bobby does require maintenance bonds out of his projects also, so there would be a bond on it. Because then at project completion, the city's going to assume ownership of the improvements anyway. They'll be city owned.
Okay.
But so Bobby has the contract with them, and let's just say that they go over budget. I mean, they're held to the contract. We're not gonna be liable for anything over budget. It would be Bobby's responsibility.
That would be, yeah, that would be
We're
my
only gonna-
take on it, that, you know, we have a price and we're agreeing to reimburse it.
Yeah.
So
You know,
are we gonna have a specific price? I mean,
Yeah,
that's what this is.
My contention, the way that it would go about this is actually more through an amendment to our development agreement with Bobby
Okay,
to stipulate a price in that amended development agreement.
Okay.
okay.
I don't think that, Dave, Terry, what do you guys think? Going outside?
Well, I think as long as he's there, it would just be best to have him do it. It should be little, it should save some money someplace, I would think.
I think
As
so,
to pull
too.
another contractor.
Bobby shopped around, I know that.
Oh, definitely.
His nephew didn't get the job.
I'll tell you what, if it wasn't right, he wouldn't have,
Oh, he wouldn't have got it.
no.
Okay, fine. That's fine.
He does enough of this in
That-
Ankeny or wherever, you know, so.
So we're all in agreement on the water?
Yeah, I will work with Mr. Terrell about getting an amendment in place to that development agreement, and that's how we would proceed with that. The other half is the installation of that rain garden. Okay, for the installation of the rain garden, all of the funds for the installation of the rain garden come from the sponsored project fund associated with our Laguna project. Okay, we have more than ample amounts of funds through the sponsored project fund to be able to pay the estimated construction cost. But you've seen that the estimated construction cost is significantly higher than the engineer's estimate, which is strange.
Gee.
So we're at this,
Surprise, surprise, surprise.
we're at the same situation again, where, you know, we could choose to, in this case, the city would contract directly with the contractor based upon the price given to us, but it's basically negotiated by Bobby Terrell. Or the city could look at bidding that project separately. Now, the SRF folks, they were certainly okay with us honoring the quote that was given to Mr. Terrell. Now, I talked to Bobby today too, and he had a couple of other cost-saving options that he really wanted to talk with King about. And King had told me they would take a look at their price. And I talked with them about that today, but I didn't get any difference on the price yet. So basically what I'm asking
Looking at it,
is,
it looks to me like some of it is cost of actual supplies.
yeah, their per unit cost is much higher, yeah.
Where are these engineers getting their numbers from? Are they just guessing? I mean, I think I could be an engineer if I'm a pretty good guesser.
Well, I'm just wondering, are we comparing apples to apples? Because when you're looking at actual cost of material, you know, it's not like this general thing, it's very specific, and the prices are much different on one of
Yeah,
them.
well, you compare that line item to line item.
Yeah,
You know, it's not materials versus installed, and that's an installed price for each of them.
on the second page?
Yeah.
What about the first page?
Yeah, one's from the engineer and one's from the
I
contractor.
understand that.
So,
Is this installed price?
yeah, it's all installed.
I think the engineer missed it.
But I guess,
Don't
you know, and I would like to be able to get rolling on this quick, and I don't want to put you on hold, but I'm gonna ask you to put you on hold. That, we'll see what we get for, you know, if King would reconsider that cost. And the other thing is that I'm going down to see the SRF staffers here on Wednesday,
Okay.
and just get the chance to personally discuss this with them again.
And Bobby's doing some little revisions too, maybe, that might lower it.
Yeah, he had some different ideas on, different types of supplies and equipment that we went to.
Just as long as we're doing what we said we're gonna do.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, because we've gotta honor that specification that the state has approved.
Well, and we don't want to dink around and let that money expire.
No.
Sure.
Okay. All right, very good.
You good with all that?
Yep.
Okay. Sewer and water rates.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm gonna flip to page 19. And although the sewer rate increase isn't good news, I guess the only good news is that it's consistent with what we thought that it would need to be. There's been no change to that over the past couple of years. We would, I'll propose another 12.5% rate increase coming up this year, and that would be the last of the large rate increases then.
That's good.
So, as you then go,
What year is this that we set this plan in motion?
this is year six. We'd be doing the last one.
Okay.
Yeah, 5 years, we started, and this is the 6th rate increase that we're
Okay.
doing. So, again, 12.5% this upcoming year, but then after that, it's at 2%, 1.5%. It really just gets to be cost of living type of adjustments. Just one thing to point out to you, I'm at the bottom of page 20, it's the bottom line of page 20, the debt service coverage, that we do not cover on what will be this current fiscal year. But it's not a requirement that we would cover this year. Our debt service requirement is 1.1. You see the 1 year where it's 1.01. So just that idea is we have to bring in enough revenue to cover 110% of our debt service payments for the year. And in this case, it's a little over 100%. But because you got 5 years yet to slide up into this under the SRF rules, so we're gonna be fine. Look
I
at
thought
page,
it as an engineer now, right?
Was thinking
Nope.
the same thing.
a financial advisor. Take a look at page
I'm a little
21.
bit jaded.
And
I'm just,
See the big box to the right, that is what the proposed fees would be for this upcoming year. Where it currently is, base fees at $19.45 would go to $21.95. And the per thousand fee is at $7.75 now, would go to $8.70. Average bill runs about 4,000 gallons, and you can see how that equates to total bill. Then this year at $42.70, next year at $48.05. But then you equate that to the clear left side of the graph where we started, and our rates have doubled over the course of these 6 years.
It was this way.
That was the plan. Yeah.
It was a plan. We didn't have no other plan because you're in need for updates.
So-
They were just talking the other day at that training about this town that didn't raise their sewer rates for 30 years. And so they got this low sewer rate, and then the plant goes to pot, the DNR comes in, and so now, I mean, the increase was huge, and it was mandatory, and it's tough, you know, I mean, this isn't good, but it's better than that's.
We kinda did that, didn't we? For many years it didn't raise.
For for a lot of years, we kept things low. Then we got into a time where we made some annual adjustments to it, but that wasn't keeping up, of course, with the construction, so. I do want to also talk about water, and that's on page 22. This being the actual expenses then of the past 5 years, a re-estimate of this current year's budget, and then some projected amounts for for next year's budget. And just start by looking clear at the bottom line on the fund balance, where just over history, we have never kept a substantial fund balance in the water utility. That's just kind of been how we've run. We raised enough money to keep things running, but we never continued to raise any type of balance there. So you can see what it's been here the past couple of years. You know, our actual last year balance 69,000, then it continues to go down 50 this next year. If we would do that media project like we're proposing, the balance is only $16,000. Okay, so I've highlighted some things in yellow because what you'd see is that the only time we ever had made, added to our bottom line is that one highlighted box there up at the top during 18-19. And that's actually just an insurance settlement reinvestment. Okay. Other than that, we continue to expend a little bit more money than what we're taking in. The long highlighted line across the middle, you look at the left side of that, where our system maintenance was a couple $1,000, $7,000 every year now. It's been $18,000 and $20,000. And what you're seeing there is the water plant. It is now about 20 years old, and where we didn't have any significant improvements that were needed, we do see that now, and we'll continue to see that. Coming into the future, I would speculate. Chemicals. Again, what had been $8,000, $10,000, $12,000, you see what chemicals have been. They were $28,000 last year and budgeted at $20,000 this year. Okay, that has primarily to do with salt. That's the biggest amount of chemical expense that we had. Okay, and
is that because the raw water's coming in higher nitrate or what?
Maybe you'd say that a little bit. It has a lot more to do with this resin and how often we regenerate the resin. We're regenerating much more frequently than we would have done before, and that just causes us to go through that much more salt. Okay. Now, you'll see a highlighted number, $65,000 next year. That is primarily the number for replacing that resin. We have budgeted $50,000 for that. You replace that resin, and it should have some positive effects on our salt. Yeah. So
That's more or less what He was saying that night when we extended the water line,
Yeah.
it needed to be replaced.
And it is past its life expectancy and it'll need to be done here sometime. And not too excited about looking at a rate increase, but I do want you to see what that equals. If you just look at percentages and how much each percentage generates in dollars. Each percentage generates $2,600. So I want to continue to look at this, but we may have the need for a small increase. And, you know, in my mind, I'm thinking 5%, around that area.
For next year?
I would propose that it would go into effect same time as the sewer. And we have done sewer rate increases on the bill that comes out March 1st.
So you wanna raise the sewer and the water both in the same
Sometime.
timeframe?
Call shock and awe.
Yeah, called shop.
Shock for sure.
So what does that do to the bill then? 5%?
Yeah, I didn't put those together, Terry. I'll get that information for you.
Well, because when people ask, it's nice to know.
Yep.
I know we got people complaining, right? A lot of people can't afford it.
Yeah, that sewer's the big thing, but
Yeah.
yeah, you bet. I will have some additional numbers back for you next time to start thinking about. We don't need to rush into this, but
Yeah,
On-
But you're looking at March, right? Is that what you're looking at?
Yep.
March?
yep. You know, those big projects at the water plant, they don't happen every year, but we see this consistent, gradual increase in expenses there too, so I think you can continue, I expect that to continue.
We good?
Good.
Royce isn't gonna be here. He's got a list of nuisances, I'm not sure that's what everybody's looking at, but all I can tell you is on his way to Fort Dodge to get a search warrant signed. So he couldn't be here. But if anybody has any concerns, let me know so we can pass them on to him.
Mostly weeds, huh?
I think the weeds are gone now.
Mostly taken care of. I mean, a lot of it looks to me like it's taken care of.
I think Mother Nature got them before we did.
Right.
Are we gonna get an update from Janet on the ones that went to court and also on the Reardon property at some point?
Yeah, I've asked Dave if he had anything new to report on either Caliber or Reardon's, and he didn't have anything new to report this time.
Could we get an update sometime on when he expects to have an update?
Yes.
Where are we at, I guess?
I'll tell you.
And then, the dental property on Main Street.
You bet. I have some news, and I will share that with you individually.
Okay.
Okay, we have an administrative report. Who's going Thursday night?
Public Works position, our apps are still open, and we're still looking for some good candidates. Anybody has any good candidates, they sure would love to talk. They're not rolling in they're just not rolling.
I had one I said, I thought he would have been here today, but it's Monday, yeah.
Okay.
I thought he might have been here today. He
No,
didn't show.
nobody today.
Well, I'll call him and tell him where he is too, because I think he just got out of school, electrical, but works the other side. I mean, he's helped Kurt, Carpenter.
Oh,
Menzer.
yeah.
a lot, so,
Alright.
so he's kinda, and he does have a CDL, so.
I think Tommy's getting his, well, I know he's getting his attended to first part of December.
He's just got to drive, is all he's gotta do.
Yeah.
I would tell you that the city received a notice of violation for sanitary sewer. And this notice was actually for a test on the 3rd of July. Suspended solid test came back high on the 3rd of July.
And we just got a notice?
Yeah. We just got that notice here last week.
Normal to take so
Didn't we
long.
steal the time?
I think they only send them out every quarter. So, you know, they process them every
So
quarter.
apparently if it was a real issue, they would have contacted you at the time or something. I mean.
You know, I don't want to tell you that it's unimportant because we certainly want to respond and do everything
Well, I
appropriate.
know, but it's
they
hard to
didn't even
respond
send
to
it.
something that happened
Yeah.
6 months ago.
They didn't, usually it comes certified and everything, they didn't send it certified, so. You know, because our answer to them is, here's our answer. You know, we researched the date and found nothing unique happening that day. There was no unique circumstances out there at the plant. All the tests subsequent to that have all been fine. And we're finishing up our lagoon to address that very long term, so, and they've been content with that.
But I guess what I meant by that was, if it had been something, are you telling me they just now reviewed the test?
Yeah, well, they review them, I think, every month, but they must only send out violations
So-
quarterly.
So what I'm saying then is if it had been a dangerous issue or an important public issue, they would have contacted us in a different manner.
Certainly.
That would have been on KTID, but.
Yeah.
Would have been on Facebook.
No one would have called it, I don't know.
Yeah.
Northwest Iowa League is up at Everly on Thursday. Do we have any takers, Whitey?
Yeah, I'll go.
I'm going, but I'm gonna drive up, so I'm gonna go earlier.
It takes an hour and a half to get to it. 4:30.
Do you think that meeting's over by 8 or?
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
we don't want to set one. Wait, no, Rick Perry's the president, isn't he? Could take a little.
It's a Christmas auction, so.
Oh, yeah, so we shouldn't take
it's-
that long.
It should be,
Yeah.
should be better. Any takers for, there's a 5 o'clock meeting.
No,
That's-
I don't even get off the bus.
That's it.
That's it? We have a motion to adjourn? Second?
Second.
Meeting adjourned.
We didn't have a call.
Them chairs are bad.
Oh, I know.
You sit and shit all day long, didn't you?